Okay, hello and welcome everybody to a student success interview that we're having with one of our students, Akib Khalid. So, welcome to Akib. He's been a student of mine for a couple of years now, and we're here to really just share his story, just so everyone can relate to what it's like for someone who's new into sales to get into this particular industry and dominate, basically. So, you're going to learn all about how he's been dominating the industry as well. So, welcome, Akib. Thanks for taking your time out to do this particular interview. Appreciate it. I know you're busy, obviously, taking a lot of high ticket sales calls every day. So, I appreciate your time. So,
It's
should we get
always a
straight into
pleasure.
it? Yeah, cool. So, firstly, could you just introduce yourself, just a bit of a backstory about yourself, what you were doing before you got into high ticket sales, and we can take it from there.
Absolutely. So prior to high ticket sales, I was a student at University of Birmingham studying chemical engineering. This was pre-COVID. COVID then hit and changed the entire trajectory of what it seemed like the world at the time, but definitely my personal life. And then I came across yourself, Shoaib, and what it is you're offering. And this was coming into a climate where a lot of job prospects were just not seeming very lucrative. And so it made me explore what it is that you're offering here with a way that I normally wouldn't look at it. Normally, it wouldn't even been something that I would have considered previously. But I'm so glad I came across it at the time. I think it was like early 2021, I believe, when I came across it. And I took part in the course, the program, followed it through entirely, and life has been wonderful since as a result of that. So
Nice,
kudos and
nice.
really appreciative of your offer and what you've done for me, Shoaib.
Excellent, excellent. And if we just dive a bit deeper, so you were in university, you mentioned, right?
Yes,
Okay. And did you have any kind of sales background before you got into the program or anything?
none at all.
Okay, okay, cool. So you were just a complete newbie, basically.
Correct. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, and was you in any type of job before you came into sales?
Not particularly. Student, maybe working on the side a little bit, retail, that kind of thing, but nothing that was really a career prospect. It was more just odd jobs that you take while you're a student.
Okay, cool. What were the initial challenges that you had when it came to learning sales?
In all honesty, there wasn't too many challenges. The way that it was structured for me to actually learn it for the very first time as a newbie was laid out very well. So it was foundational work initially, going over the basic skills that you need to have. It was then putting those skills into practice through role plays and etc. And following that, it was the placement of these skills in a real life role. So I didn't really find any of these steps towards sales challenging because of the way that it was structured within the program.
Okay, cool. And how did the so basically what we have is the sovereign sales trinity, right? The
Yeah.
sovereign sales trinity, and this is a three-pronged approach. Let me just repeat that. So what we teach is the sovereign sales trinity, and this is a three-pronged approach to teaching people how to break into this particular industry of high-ticket sales. So we start off with the Genesis principle, which is essentially rewiring the mindset, making sure that you kind of expel away any limiting beliefs that you may have that's holding you back from earning money. Maybe you have some negative perceptions about sales, etc. So we get rid of all that and we get you into a positive mindset where you can start earning money and do that without any negativity, self-doubt, etc. So that's the first part. And then the second part is actually learning the skill, the DR sales principle, learning the sales skill itself and doing so that you can be someone who closes with a high close rate. And then the third part of it is the sovereign magnetism principle, which is where we basically teach you how to attract high ticket sales offers. So even if you have no experience or even if you're completely new to this industry, you can get into good roles, right? So throughout those three kind of elements, could you just kind of take us through how effective each one was, so the mindset, the sales skills and finding roles, and how we helped you secure your role as well?
I can't emphasize how important each of these three roles are. The first point being Genesis and mindset. being in the field, so talking from my perspective, which is working with other closers, working with other salespeople, the amount of times I see people bringing their own personal limiting beliefs onto a sales call and failing as a result of that, I couldn't count it. It happens so often. And so tackling that head on as one of the first principles is extremely effective in having good foundations when it comes to sales. Further on from that, it's the second point, which is your skill set as a salesperson. What is you're bringing to the table? Now that you've overcome your limiting beliefs, your mindset, and you've got a strong mindset, how are you going to present yourself on that sales call? And so having the skills is something that, once again, it's equally as important as the mindset, being able to tackle objections correctly, use the correct tonality, and so on. All these skills, they're of paramount importance. You can't conduct a sales call and you can't have an effective close rate without having these skills in your back pocket. The final point is being able to land a role. It's pointless having those skills unless you can utilize them within a role. And this is a point that it can be a little bit. Well, a lot of people are quite apprehensive with landing a role because they have to put themselves out there in order to do that. And that's just something you have to get used to. And the way it's taught in the program is the truth. You have to put yourself out there. You have to do it in such a way where you're almost vulnerable because you're making videos about yourself. Sometimes people aren't used to that kind of thing, and really expose yourself to the companies that are looking to hire. But done correctly, you will absolutely be able to find a role that resonates with your personal beliefs and allows you to be successful within this field.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, excellent. So in terms of how you found your first role, I know a lot of the viewers, obviously they might not have sales experience or they're new to this industry, or even they have other industry sales experience, but they've never been in high ticket sales. So how did you go about finding your first role? And what kind of advice would you give to people who kind of think, well, you know what, I'm new, they don't really want people without experience, etc. Because that's a common question that we get.
No, absolutely. I was quite fortunate with my first role. It was a referral at quite a big, quite well-established company, and so I fit right in quite easily. It doesn't really, it's not really too relatable at this stage of sales how I landed that first role. But everything from that point onwards was absolutely through grit and determination. It's a common thing that in between roles people struggle with finding what the next thing is going to be for them. And so it goes back to that point that I made earlier where you really do have to put yourself out there. And from that point onwards, from my first role, it was a lot of LinkedIn outreach. It was me uploading resumes and applying for roles. And eventually I actually got scouted by Cole Gordon's team. They came to me eventually. And yeah, the rest is history.
So how long have you been in high ticket sales and how many roles have you had throughout that period of time?
So I started high ticket sales immediately after the program we did together. I believe that was summer 2021. So it's been a good 4 years now. In that time, I've had 3 roles.
Okay, and could you take us through what kind of companies you've been working with? Because one of the questions we get from a lot of people is, okay, like who do we work for? You know, what kind of responsibilities do we have, etc. So if you could just give them a bit of an idea about that.
Absolutely. First role was Amazon FBA, an e-commerce role. It was selling clients on their ability to create passive income through investing in Amazon FBA and e-commerce. From there, I went into a digital marketing role, and that's what my existing third role also is. They have a lot of crossover there. It's working with businesses primarily, B2B, convincing and working with clients to increase their revenue, scale, and grow their business through improved marketing.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And the first role was a role that we recruited for you because we basically knew the business owner, and then Arkib obviously stood out in the program, right? You stood out in the program, did very well. So then we referred you to that particular opportunity. Could you tell us a bit about the numbers that you generated for the company and how much you earned per month on average?
Yeah, first 8 months I generated $1 million for the company, including working capital. It was $2 million plus.
Okay, wow.
Uh,
Okay, fair enough.
in the 2 years that I was with the company, it was 2 million generated, 4 million total, including working capital. Sorry, what was the rest of the question you asked me?
And how much did you earn for yourself in commissions? I
Six
guess that's
figures
the big
plus.
question.
Yeah.
Six
We'll,
figures
we'll leave it
plus.
at that.
We'll leave it at that. So, the six figures plus in the space of 2 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in terms of just so people understand, how much roughly was that a month?
Um, Consistent five figures on a monthly basis.
Consistent five figures. Lovely, lovely. And you had no prior experience before getting into that particular role, right?
None at all.
Okay. So again, guys, this just goes to show even if you do not have sales experience, we can train you up to a level and refer you to businesses who give you the opportunity to earn multiple five figures a month, right? Okay, thanks for clarifying that. And how much are you making right now? So obviously a lot of people ask us, how stable is this? Because with sales, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, ups and downs. Have you experienced those ups and downs? And if you have, what does that kind of look like? Is it like, 1 month earning 1K and then next month earning 10K? Or is it pretty much kind of stabilize over time?
A bad month is anything less than 10K, I would say. A bad month would be between 5 and 10K. It's like, ooh, drop the ball on that month.
Yeah.
Need to do better the following month. And that goes to show just how consistent it can be if you put the work in.
And what was your highest month? I know a lot of people would be interested to know.
20K.
20K. Okay, brilliant, brilliant. And so, obviously, high ticket sales, there's a lot of setters out there, there's a lot of closers out there. What advice would you give to people who are starting in high ticket sales to make sure that they stand out and they can make the most money possible?
Hone in on your skills. Not just sales skills, but your mental game as well. I mean, those two things, they work hand in hand, they work cohesively with one another. How strong you are mentally will absolutely be portrayed on the call, whether you're setting or closing. And so constantly being able to improve and hone in on your skills and sharpen your axes is a term that's commonly used within this industry, is something that it goes without saying. You have to be doing that constantly.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of someone who's potentially considering getting into high ticket sales, maybe they're in a 9-to-5 job completely different to anything to do with sales.
Yeah.
What traits do you believe that they need to have mentally, in terms of habits, in terms of thoughts, mindset, etc.?
So it might be a bit of a contradictory answer because 4 years on, I still get told by almost every sales coach that you're not the typical person who would be in sales. You're not that egotistical, oh, I'm on this call, I'm going to close you, I'm going to sell to you. That is the typical agenda for the person, almost the Jordan Belfort sort of persona, that's the person who's going to be successful in sales. You can be successful in sales no matter your personality. And so look at your strengths, build confidence, and improve on the things that people need in order to be a good salesperson, while still allowing it to resonate with yourself. You don't have to fake ego, you don't have to fake that A-type personality or anything along those lines. Confidence is one thing I would say that you can and maybe should fake throughout a sales call, throughout interviews, but eventually you will get to a point where that confidence becomes normality for you.
Mm-hmm. And when you started, did you just automatically have that confidence and that kind of level of work ethic, or did that build when you were going through the processes, making money, perhaps making a few mistakes, and then eventually gaining those skills?
Yeah, absolutely, it built over time. It was absolutely faking it until I could make it. And so that was very much a path that I was on, a personal path. And I lent on yourself, I lent on the program and the infrastructure that you built to help guide me along that path. But it was also a personal journey of building that confidence to a point where I could portray myself as I wanted to be, as I needed to be, within a sales team.
Mhm. What would you say to anyone thinking about working with me and getting into the Sovereign Closer Mastermind to help them break into sales and eventually replace their income from their job?
I imagine most people who are at this stage of their career where they're thinking they should work with you are one of two people. The first category would be someone who's in an existing occupation away from sales and they are unhappy and they would like to be making more money, that they just want a career change. The second person would be someone who maybe is already in sales and they are not landing roles or they're just not good enough to be at a role where they're earning a decent income. For both of these individuals, there's going to be apprehension. There's going to be a level of fear, whereupon they don't know whether this is a route they want to take that's actually going to get them to their goals. And to that, I would say you have to be able to overcome that apprehension. I've been there, I've done that. I've been through Shrave's program, I've been part of the program, I've gone through it, I've graduated from it, and my life has been better as a result of it. So I would say it's your first limiting belief that you need to overcome. That fear that you have, that apprehension of, can I actually achieve what I want to achieve with Shrave's program? And speaking from the perspective of someone who's been through it, yes, you absolutely can.
So I understand you've closed 5 million plus in lifetime sales revenue altogether for the clients you've worked with. So what does the day in the life of Akib, a 7-figure closer, look like?
Yeah, brilliant question. I'll walk you through it. So I typically wake up at a nice early 11 a.m. every morning. Apologies for the early risers who actually wake up at 6 to 8 a.m. every morning. But
So
for
you
me,
don't
it's
go
11
for a job
a.m.
at 4 a.m. in the morning, yeah?
11 a.m. for myself. I wake up, have breakfast, hit the gym for 2 hours, and then I just do bits and bobs around the house, spend time with my wife until about 2 p.m. That's when my workday typically starts. I work for an American company. I'm based in the UK though, so 2 p.m. my time is a 9 a.m. start for Eastern time in America.
Mhm.
And I typically work from 2 p.m. till 10 p.m. Throughout that time, it's a combination of internal meetings, it's managing sales team, it's my closing calls as well. And then from 10 p.m., I clock off and typically just enjoy time with family, really.
Okay, brilliant. And are you able to be kind of flexible with the calendar that you have? Can you choose your hours? Does the company allow you to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. If some days I want to start a little bit earlier and finish a little bit earlier as a result of that, then absolutely. I tend to do that on Fridays. I also have personal commitments throughout throughout Monday to Friday, classes that I want to attend and things like that. And I'm able to take out 1 2 hour breaks throughout the week to do exactly that. I never work weekends. I'm able to travel quite often as well. I've been to, let me update my list actually, is it? I've got a list.
It's got a whole list of
14 countries I've traveled to in the last couple of years.
Wow.
While closing as well. So yeah, it really does open up a lot of opportunities for you. The fact that you have this flexible way to work anywhere in the world and earn a very solid income.
Excellent, excellent. And what has this transformation done for you altogether? So what I mean by that is, obviously before you didn't know anything about closing, now you're doing closing, you're earning 5 figures a month in commissions. What has that done for you, apart from the obvious financial benefit?
Yes.
Okay, so Akib, what has this particular transformation done for you? So what I mean by that is obviously you didn't know anything about closing, you've gone into closing, a few years later you're making a whole load of money for yourself. So what has that allowed you to do, obviously other than the financial benefit?
It's allowed me to travel, have a lot more flexibility with my life, not have so much of a rigid routine that you would typically have with a 9 to 5, where you're limited with the hours you have to work and the time that you can take off. It's like being self-employed in a sense where you can choose your own hours, choose your own commitments, and still be able to earn a solid income, even with that level of flexibility that you normally would not have with a regular career prospect.
Okay, excellent. And do you believe anyone can learn sales?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like I said before, I mean, this is something that typically people who meet me, even 4 or 5 years on, being a seasoned, experienced salesperson, people still say to me, "You are not the typical person that I would place in this role, but we're going to place you anyway." Anyone can be a salesperson. You just have to hone in on your skills, follow a program, commit, and you can do it.
Okay, well, that comes to the end of all the questions that I have. Is there any final advice you'd give to people potentially considering joining the program?
Overcome your fear. The first element of what you're going to cover with Shuaib is going to be mindset and limiting beliefs. You need to overcome a certain element of that before you can be a part of the program. You need to overcome your own fear, your own apprehension, your own belief that I may or may not succeed at this. That's something Shuaib can't help you with until you become a part of the program, which is ironic because if he could help you with that, you'd already be a part of the program. So overcome that yourself. Do what's necessary to eliminate that fear, eliminate that apprehension, and be excited for what's to come. Because I promise you, on the other side of that, once you've signed up for the program, it's a wonderful life. It really is.
So, obviously, you've been part of a lot of different sales teams, multiple salespeople. What do you think are the main factors for someone being highly successful in sales like yourself against someone who, maybe they're in sales, they've tried, but they just haven't reached those, 5-figure months, they may be stuck on 2-3K a month? What's the difference between those two types of people?
I would say it's what you bring to the table through a variation of your personality, your mindset, the approach you take on the calls. These factors play a big part in how you're presenting yourself on a sales call. And so often the people who are struggling, they're very one-dimensional. Their ability to adapt on a call, depending on the person that is on the other side of that call, is very limited. They have a single persona, and that is the persona they bring to every single call. You have to have EQ. You have to have emotional intelligence on these calls to be able to adapt to different personalities. And that is what I would say the one defining factor between a closer earning low thousand figures, a couple of thousand on a monthly basis, to getting to that 5 figures consistently on a monthly basis.
Okay, excellent. Well, Akib, thanks a lot for joining us. That's all the questions I have for you today. And congratulations to you for the success that you've done. Obviously, you've worked very, very hard for it, right? So, you're probably the best student that we have. So we had to prioritize the interview for yourself first over anyone else. So, congratulations to you for that.
Credit where credit's due. I have to thank you. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So it's an absolute pleasure.
Appreciate it. My pleasure. Yeah. My pleasure. So that's a wrap, guys. Thanks for taking your time out to listen to this.